What's going on, guys? ChaseWins.com coming to you early morning, Monday, the 18th of November, 2019. Even though it's very early now, you probably won't see this video until early to mid-afternoon Monday, as I stated in Sunday's video and on Saturday's video, which we'll get to Sunday's video in a second, because apparently some people were having some problems. Excuse me. Flying out this morning. If you are a customer of mine, you got the email yesterday. Patrick has agreed. We are re-signing his contract for the 2020 NASCAR season. And he finished out with another bang, another outright race winner on Kyle Busch. He did drop one of his head-to-head plays. I'm just not sure which one. But hold on, I'll go back in my notes and look. But either way, it was a fantastic race season. And I cannot say enough about him. I can't wait until he officially retires, and because obviously he works for the organization, and that way he can start doing his own videos. Start doing some. He wants to start doing some NASCAR podcasting, which we may launch sooner rather than later. It's just going to depend on how we can do it to still kind of keep his identity and stuff under wraps as far as his affiliation with me until he does officially retire, because obviously it could be a conflict of interest, even though he works in the marketing department. He doesn't build cars. He doesn't work directly for drivers. I mean, he's an expert in the sport. He really is. But I cannot say enough good things about him. We've been friends and done business together for a long time. Finally convinced him to come on board and give this thing a shot. And 2019 was an overwhelming success. It was very slow out of the gate as far as building his brand and allowing people to understand what he does and how to cap this sport. So I don't think it was probably the fourth or fifth, maybe even the sixth race of the season before we ever had a client sign up, except for obviously people that were already on my full-blown one-year pass. I was giving it to them. And then once we had a few people start trickling in and word of mouth got out, then the floodgates opened. And every week he was picking up, newcomers for a week. They would win, immediately turn around and buy a season. So hats off to him, guys. In the comments, throw him, your love and appreciation for him if you were on it, if you respect what he does. But anyway, we came to an agreement. He is coming back for the 2020 season, and obviously just for financials and stuff, we've got to get some paperwork signed and notarized, and we actually have to be in the same room. So he's flying back from Homestead, Miami. We are actually going to meet in Dallas. I wish it was Atlanta, because then I wouldn't have to get on a plane. But nevertheless, we're going to do that, have some lunch together, go over that. Should be a fairly quick meeting. And then I'll be back at the airport for 3 or 4 hours, and I'm going to sit in the Amex lounge and get my plays done and out, and then I'll be flying back home tonight. But if I don't do a video now, you won't get one. So regarding the video from yesterday, I got 6 or 7 emails that I saw last night. So then I ended up pulling the video down because then I noticed the issue. So when you would click on the free play video for yesterday, which was involving the 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals, the free play was the over. You would watch it, and some people were saying that when they would click on it, it would start and then it would go to an error. It would be like, this video has error or something. Some people weren't seeing it on their account even though they were subscribers, but then I would send them the link and then they'd be able to click on it. But everybody was telling me, or everybody that emailed me was telling me, that when I was doing my recap, because I did the free play first, then did a recap for Saturday, I did it backwards, and then as soon as I got to college football, the video ended. I don't know what happened, because from my phone I could see it, from my computer I couldn't. So I was tired of getting emails about it because I didn't know how to fix it. So I just pulled the video down, sent all those people emails going, I'm sorry, here's your recap. I will recap it in the video for Monday. That way nobody thinks that I'm trying to hide from a college football record, which I don't know why I would. It was a fantastic Saturday, most of which we recapped in our live show for Saturday that we did late afternoon. So for the people that wanted me to, that were not able to see it, the College football on Saturday, free play was not one that I wanted to do. It was what everybody else wanted, and it kind of happened like I said it would. If they were not going to keep Jalen in the pocket and force him to throw inside that pocket, he was going to have offensive success. Now, when they would keep him in that pocket, Baylor was in this thing the whole time and really controlling it. They start letting Jalen use his legs, offense opens up. Guys, truth be told, if you're going to have a shootout with a team, Oklahoma's not the one you want. There's only two teams in the country that I truly believe could go back and forth for 60 minutes and have the potential to outscore Oklahoma. That would be Alabama and that would be Ohio State. Minnesota, Baylor, LSU, Georgia, Clemson. I don't think any of those teams are as offensively as dominant as Oklahoma, and I think that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than those teams have when he's able to play his game. So Oklahoma ended up winning, but they did not end up covering. As far as the premium, and I even said in the video for Saturday, I don't like the game. I'm not going to be playing it as I like it. This is just what people wanted me to talk about. I agreed to it, so it's a glorified lean at best. Premium plays, we start out with Florida State over 53 against Alabama State. Figured Florida State would do that by themselves. They didn't quite get to there, but it was a fairly easy over. There was still a decent amount of time left in that game as it went over. Penn State was the only loss we took at 14. We've obviously bought it down from 14 to 13.5. Wisconsin was the exact same song and dance, 14, 13.5. Bought it down to there. Nice winner. It was late in the game when they did it, but a win nonetheless. We took UMass plus 41.5. That total just boggled me. I mean, listen, UMass is terrible. They honestly, they should just hang their football program up. They've never been great. I don't foresee them being even remotely relevant to talk about in the foreseeable future. But and yes, teams are going to blow them out week in and week out, especially when you talk about a Big Ten team. But you're talking about a bad Big Ten team. Now, not quite as bad as Rutgers, but still bad. Northwestern's bad, guys. They're in full-blown rebuild and then some. But 41, guys, when we're talking about point spreads in the 40s, I don't care if you're talking about Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, it doesn't matter. When you're getting into point spreads in the 40s, whether it's a nobody team or not, you have to take a good, long, hard look and truly evaluate every aspect of that game, or you will get burned. You will. Those are very dangerous situations. I broke down every key player. I broke down my entire depth chart for both teams. And I said, Northwestern is going to blow them out. I just don't see them blowing them out by 6 touchdowns. It was 41.5. Now, they got close, but they didn't do it. So, nice, easy win there on UMass plus 41.5. I mean, that was one of the easiest decisions of the day. I really still can't get over the fact that it got that high with Northwestern. I mean, again, if it would have been 30, that would have been understandable. Had it been in the 20s, that would have been a gift to been able to take Northwestern. But it was just that one really, really concerned me. And then we get into our we got Alabama minus 18. That was a blowout from start to finish. We get into our 2 afternoon games. We take Georgia minus 3. Nobody liked that play. I got so many emails, people telling me, nope. Obviously, you haven't looked. Georgia's going to get beat by Auburn. Auburn's defense is elite. And I said, okay, have you seen the University of Georgia? In my opinion, the best defense in the SEC. Kirby Smart, even though, yes, he's an offensive guy, he's also a Saban guy. Kirby Smart, besides Nick Saban, may very well be the most well-rounded coach in college football. Some people like to compare Dabo to Saban, and I wish they would hurl themselves off a cliff. But Georgia controlled that game from start to finish. They made some mistakes. Right there at the end, they got a little bit too comfortable, a little bit too complacent, and Auburn made a game of it. Listen, I like Gene Chizik. I really do. I just don't know that he's cut out to be a long-term coach in the SEC West at a place like Auburn. LSU, maybe, but nobody's taking that job from Ed Orgeron as long as he's alive. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, those would be perfect fits for Gus because there wouldn't be the overwhelming expectation every year that all you have to do is beat Bama and you're in there. They already expect you to be a winning coach. Gus Malzahn's done a great job. He just hasn't done quite enough, and that's one of those schools like Georgia, like Alabama, LSU, Ohio State. You go in there, they don't just want a winning year. They don't just want bowl games. They don't just want a playoff appearance every so often. They want rings. They want championships, and if you cannot provide that on a consistent basis, you're only going to have a small window of time before they're on to the next guy because it's not the alumni, it's not the students, it's not the athletic department that controls schools like that. It's the boosters. You know, half the boosters don't even go to schools like that. Never did. Didn't go to college. It's just the way it is. Clemson University, case in point. 90% of their boosters are not alumni. Nor are they former players, nor do they have any affiliation to the university other than they donate money to them. And all they would have to do is say, get Dabo out of there. That's what they did to Tommy Bowden. They ran him out of town because he lost a couple of bad games. Tommy Bowden was a great coach. Anyway, I'm rambling. But great college football Saturday. Let's go ahead and get into a recap for Sunday so I can get out of here because I'm running short on time. NFL Sunday, we had our play of the year. We'll get into that just in a second. We had the New York Jets plus 2.5. That right there was a blowout win. Anybody that had emailed me asking should they buy up to 3. Normally I would in that situation, but I told him, I said, if you did anything else on this play to risk any more money, I would play the money line for a small amount because I think the Jets are going to win this game handily, and they blew them out. We had the Saints and the Buccaneers over 50.5. That one got down to the wire but took care of business. Free play on the 49ers and the Cardinals. Sorry that I had to take that video down, but for the people that saw it, congratulations. I do have some people that said that they appreciated the play. The Ravens and the Texans over 51 was a late loss. Hopefully now people will stop comparing Deshaun Watson to people like Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady and Drew Brees. Guys, Deshaun Watson's a talented individual. He's not a bad quarterback. He's just not. He's not dominant. He's not. So stop saying that he is. Stop saying that he's a future Hall of Famer. Stop saying that he got shafted in the Heisman. I think we see what's going on here. The Texans are poorly coached. You have the best receiver in all of the game by far. I mean, he's out ahead of – he's a country mile ahead of everyone. I mean, DeAndre is unfreaking believable. He makes Deshaun look good by plucking his garbage out of thin air, just like Sammy Watkins and Ellington did while they were in college. He's amazing, but Deshaun doesn't amaze me on any given Sunday. They got their asses kicked, and it wasn't by luck of the draw. It wasn't by a fluke. It wasn't by some defensive bullshit. It wasn't by some poor turnover. They got beat from start to finish. Yes, should there have been a pass interference call involving Hopkins? Absolutely. But do you really think that was going to keep you in this game when you got beat by over 30? No. So, anyway, I digress. Excuse me. Oakland Raiders minus 12. They let the Bengals come in and get an early touchdown. I still think Derek Carr is the most underrated quarterback in the league. But we went over our preseason win total. Top play with the Oakland Raiders being our top play overall. And that was in college and in pro. They were our overall top play. That cashed with the win on the Bengals. But it was a loss at minus 12. But then we had the Patriots at the play of the year. I had a couple of customers that have been sending me some information. There was a speculation that a couple of people in the industry had been buying my plays and then using them as their own. These are veterans of the industry. Yesterday was kind of the nail in the coffin that proved it all because their write-up was almost word for word mine except for the things they tried to change and then misspelled. So don't worry, you know who you are. You'll be hearing from my representatives. Kind of disgusting how you're going to sit there and, it's not like nobody else could have come up with this play. But you're going to sit there and not do your own research. You're going to take it from me. buy it, sell it as your own, make money on it, and then take all the credit as if you did it, you had a great ride up, yada yada yada, when you didn't, because you don't know. It's pretty disgusting. Please, nobody email me about that situation, because I'm not going to talk about it. The people that are already involved know who you are, because you're the ones that brought it to my attention. But we released this play on Friday morning at New England -3, because that's what the line was. Told everybody, if you're getting it at 3, to buy it down to 2.5, just to be smart. Obviously, by the end of the day or that night, it had gone up to 3.5. We were still okay with that, and it had gotten all the way up to 4.5 on Sunday. I had a few people using local books or saying that so and so would give out the play at 5.5. Well, then they're not using Vegas lines. I'm sorry, William Hill, Caesars, Stations. Hell, even Bovada and Five Dimes did not have that line at 5.5. Not ever. Not ever once did they have that line at 5.5. But we gave it out early because I had been zoned in on that game for over a week, and we gave it out because of the Alshon Jeffrey news. That was what made me, that was my final straw that I needed, and we got that information about 3.5 hours, close to 4 hours before it went public. I posted the play immediately, and then sure as the world, mid to late that afternoon, that was announced on TV and the internet, and that's when that line started to climb a little bit. But either way, whether you got it 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, or even if you got it at 5.5 because your bookie is screwing you, it was a winner. My write-up was on point. Other than the fact that I really thought Brady would have had a much better game, coming off of a game where not only did they get embarrassed to some extent, but Brady obviously didn't have a great game against Baltimore. But how can you have a great game when you're laying on your back, not being protected? But Brady did not have a great game, but it just shows Belichick's just genius, how the defense started out slow, allowing a poor offense by Philadelphia. I'm sorry, they're just not great. Really, all you have without Jeffrey and your other receiver is Ertz. And sure, if you can leave him uncovered or maybe just on one-on-one coverage, then yeah, he can pick up positive yardage every time. But really, all they had to do was cover Ertz, and then the defense absolutely shelled you the rest of the game. Picked up, less than 50 yards of total offense in over a half of football. So hats off to New England winning by 7. That is the game of the year, and it is a winner. So that still keeps my record absolutely impeccable on games of the year. And so that way on college football and NFL, we hit on nice winners. So that was football for the day. College basketball, we had 2 plays. Clemson -15 over Detroit. That was an easy winner. Arizona State -10.5. That was a blowout. We had 2 NBA plays. We had the Washington Wizards +6.5. That was a nice winner. And then the Lakers and the Atlanta Hawks over 218.5 points. Probably got it 219 if you waited until game time, but either way you would have won. And then we had 1 NHL play, which was our daily top play. Vegas Golden Knights on the money line. Had to lay $1.50, but it was okay. It was a nice, easy winner from start to finish. So that right there brings our record on NHL top plays back up to official 90%, and overall that puts us at 21-4 in NHL top plays for the season. So we are back up to 90% there. So guys, if you want to get on the train, as I said, we had a few bad days over the course of the last week, a few down days. And it happens. It's just, there's no way around it. It's going to happen. But the bounce backs and the streaks afterwards are always something that people remember, and shows them why we are the best. And guys, if you're a handicapper, can't even tell you where a game is being played, do you really want to trust the BS they're feeding you? Because I can promise you, all they did was read a paragraph before they logged on to do a video. They don't know. They don't. When you're talking about a very, very publicized game on a neutral site, and I've been told by 5 different people that this person, and this person are talking about a game being played somewhere else, when hell, even Joe Blow down the street knows where the game's being played. But yet the expert, the one that's supposed to know everything in the ins and outs of a game, doesn't know. Ask yourself, is that the person that you really want to trust with your money? Just think about that for a second. So what I want to tell you is I'm not going to break down the Monday night game. What I do want to tell you is one smart thing that LA did is they are practicing in Colorado. If you remember going back a few years, New England did the same thing. They had a game in Denver before going into a bye week and then having to play in Mexico City. And Bill Belichick told all of his guys, we're not going back home. We're staying out west. We're staying in Colorado. We're going to play in high elevation to get ready, to get our bodies ready, to get our breathing habits ready to be in high elevation. I had somebody email me yesterday when I had mentioned that during a live show, and they're like, what does elevation have to do with Mexico? Mexico's in the south. That's exactly what I imagined this moron to talk about. I said, is this a joke? This is a joke, right? You think just because they're south of where you live and it's a warmer climate than where you might live, that they have no elevation? Are you joking me? Anyway, so he did that, and it worked out in his benefit. Not only were they the better team, we're probably going to win the game anyway. You could tell going into the latter part of the third quarter that their opponent was just gassed, and the Patriots still had plenty left to give because they had prepared themselves for it. Now, LA's done the same thing. This is a whole different breed. Andy Reid and the Chiefs said we're just going to keep doing what we do, and we're going to stay right here in Kansas City until it's time to go. Now, what I want to tell you is most people think of Denver, they think of high elevation, they immediately think under, and then anybody that does know anything about the elevation factor would immediately think that LA has a very superior upper hand. They don't have an upper hand in this game other than that fact right there. Other than the fact that they have trained and prepared in Denver or in Colorado. That's the only upper hand that they have. You don't have an upper hand at quarterback. You do not have an upper hand on your offensive line, your defensive line, your corners. You do not have one with your special teams especially. And you certainly don't have one with your coach. Andy Reid is a great regular season coach. So don't immediately think that they're going in there with an upper hand. I think with the mind games going on with Andy Reid, as people not thinking that his team will be ready because of that, I think it's a good spot to really look at Kansas City. And I think because everybody immediately thinks under because of elevation, if you look at where the total opened up at 49, it's all the way up to 52. I think the over is worth a look. Neither one of these are plays on my card at this point. It's just worth a look. Just pay attention to what I said and then use your own judgment for the remainder. Free play, I'm going to take an underplay in the NBA that I like. Under 231.5 with the Rockets tonight. Now, here's the thing. Everybody thinks James Harden, the Rockets, they immediately think high scoring. And, I mean, you'd usually be right because, number one, the only reason James Harden scores the way he does is because he doesn't get defended. And when he does get defended by anyone, even if they just stand in front of him, he gets to go to the line. It's not that hard to score 50 points a game when you're at the line 20 times and you get to practice free throws the way you do. So, yes, I think that 50 points is what he should be scoring in that aspect. Portland is a smart defensive team. They know how to capitalize and force James to shoot the shots that he's not as good at, which is more along the lines of your pull-up jumpers versus being able to shoot it from the spots at the key that he likes, or your turnaround shots, or even driving through the lane. If they can just get him off center just a little bit and make him truly have to work for those shots, James is going to start dishing that ball out more than he would. And then when that happens, Portland's defense can kind of pounce on Houston a little bit. Now, does that mean that I think that Portland's a better team than Houston? I didn't say that. Does that mean that I think that Houston will lose the game to Portland? I certainly didn't say that. I'm just saying that if they can get Harden a little bit out of his comfort zone at home, and they have to move that ball around a little bit more, that's where Portland's defense will hold an advantage to typical teams that would have to go into Houston and play. And because of that, we'll see a lot more clock being burned. We won't see near as many fouls and Houston going to the line for garbage because Portland does play smarter defense than the majority of teams in the league, especially in the Western Conference. Not to mention Portland, they're more of a move-the-ball-around team, so they will be the ones that will burn your clock up before they just go out there and take three-pointers. They're not an overly dominant three-point shooting team, so they would be one of your lower scoring teams in the Western Conference. And if you go back and look, They played 3 times last year in Houston. I think the average points was like between, I don't know what the average is, but I know there was like a 204, a 208. Like most of them were under 210 points. And we're seeing a lot of the same thing, the same attributes that we see here. The spread only being 6.5. I see this game could very easily get to 215 to 220, but 231.5 is a little bit of a stretch. I would jump on it before game time because I do think we will see money come in on the under, and when we get close to 8 o'clock tonight, we could see this game down below 230. So capitalize on getting it over that, because would not surprise me a bit to see this game fall right there at that 215 to 222 mark. So you want to get everything you can for insurance. But I'm going to go premium play under 231.5. Portland, Houston, our underplays in the NBA have been on fire, so let's keep that rolling. That is your official free play for the day. And like I said, just take a look at those aspects if you are interested in the Monday Night Football game. Jump on a package, 3 days for $50, 7 days for $99, and get linked up. We're going to keep this streak going. Congrats to everybody that was on the game of the year. A lot of you know what you should do. Take those big winnings where you stepped out, invest in a longer-term package, play smart, play the system, be diligent, and we'll go to the winner's circle together. Thank you guys for always tuning in. Sorry about the video tomorrow. Whatever the hell the issue was, I still don't know. And I will see you back for Tuesday. Not only a free play video, but Tuesday live show. See you guys.